Hello Orchid friends, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching my video, my channel is all about orchids. From what orchids I have, how I grow them, my thoughts on certain orchid topics, to what orchids in my collection are blooming, etc. So if you want to follow along my orchid hobby adventure, please consider subscribing to my channel and turn on the notification. Today in this video, we're going to look at one of my quote-unquote purple orchid, and this one is called Yang Yang Blueberry, and it's a cross between Yang Yang New Star and Violacea variety Indigo. Indigo is a species that I dearly love, and every time there is a Violacea hybrid cross, I always pay special attention, and this one definitely got my attention. I think I got this orchid somewhere around end of summer 2018, and then here 2018 around end of September it was opening its first flower, and at the time I happened to have a purple martin in bloom. That was the last flower of that purple martin's last flowering cycle. So it's from a year ago, and I do apologize because this video should have been published way earlier, but I just haven't gotten to it. And the truth is, I totally forgot that I have a folder for this orchid, and it just kind of buried, and I found it and I realized I never worked on this video. But anyway, here it is. So this one, I bought it for its color, but also for the vigor of this cross, because another friend of mine also has one of this cross, and this friend, he was telling me all good things about this orchid, so I thought I would give it a try. But for those of you who are new to this orchid hobby, in orchid there is no true blue color, so the closest that you're gonna get is the color indigo. So anytime there is an orchid that has, indigo color, it's more rare. So the price tag is usually also a little bit bigger. So this one is super fragrant. It has definitely the Violacea smell to it. So it's a little spicy, a little sweet. Sometimes it even smells like, it has a hint of cinnamon smell to it. When I first got this orchid though, it was potted in a 2.5-inch cup in moss, and based on my observation, the media was looking okay, and because it was already in spike, I didn't want to disturb it too much, so I left it alone. And of course, there is no immediate sign of pest infestation, anything like that, so I literally left it alone and just provide water and regular care. I know there are orchid hobbyists who would like to repot their orchids as soon as they get them home. I don't do that anymore because sometimes I feel you could potentially do more harm than good. And I would tell you why, because especially if you're doing the repot in the wrong season, or if the orchid is in spike or in buds, you're disturbing it too much that you may potentially jeopardize the flowering cycle. But another reason is I learned from Norman's Orchid that they recommend you do not repot your orchids for at least first 30 days when they're in your house. So what do you do during that 30 days? Well, there are a couple things you can do. Number one is you quarantine them so that they're not immediately amongst your orchid collection in case there is any hitchhiker. I mean, pests like bugs within the media or a virus that you don't see, just to kind of keep an eye out for them. You want to, like for me, I would have a slightly different areas in the grow space. So that's the space dedicated for new orchids. And I seen friends who would have different shelves, right? One shelf is just for new arrivals, and that would do too. And after a while, if you feel comfortable and there's really no obvious signs of any particular problem, then you can go ahead and incorporate. And when the season is right, you could repot the orchid, and I usually do that in springtime and summertime. I do sometimes have to do emergency repot in late fall or during the winter time, and that is, for example, if you feel like there is root rot issue or if there is any pest issue that really just need to give an orchid new media, you can do that. But otherwise, if it's a regular repot upsize, then I think you should try to do it at the right season, and that will be spring and summertime. So for this orchid, I actually took a risk. After the first flowers completely finished, I did give this orchid a repot, and it was in the middle of winter, because toward the end I noticed that there were some molds or something that just didn't look quite right in the media, and because that media looked a little tired toward the end, so I decided to give it a repot, and I went with a semi-hydro setup. And then it started to put out a new bud toward the beginning of 2019, and now you're seeing the third bud being completely open, and that is around end of February 2019. And again, like I said earlier, this video should have been published way earlier, months ago, but I just haven't gotten to it. But here it is. The fragrance was really lovely, and this one is also a very waxy orchid. For those of you who like waxy flower, this is definitely the one to have in the collection. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the semi-hydro approach that I use for this orchid is at the bottom of the inner cup. I actually have holes for this orchid, and because I use outer cup as well, so if I do decide that I want to give it more water so that it's semi-hydro, I just need to give it about 1/8 of a cup or quarter cup, and there will be enough water at the bottom for the leca beads and manto clay pebbles to soak up the water. But if I decide that I just want to let this orchid have very good drainage, just moist but no standing water at the very bottom, then I don't, I just I soak it, and then I let it drain out completely, because there are drainage holes at the bottom, so it's very easy for me to say take away the outer cup and just let it sit for a day or so, and that way the media is moist, but then there's no standing water, and that has worked really well. It just depends on humidity and temperature in my environment. Sometimes I do allow some water at the bottom, sometimes I don't, and that has worked really well. And later, after this short video clip, toward the end of this video, you'll see that in about so after this bloom faded, it took another 3 months, but then it grew lots of roots inside the media, which you'll see in a minute. And here I just want to quickly answer a question that I get pretty regularly from orchid beginners. They would ask if I dilute my hydrogen peroxide or alcohol with water, and the answer is no, I don't. I use them straight. Hydrogen peroxide 3%, alcohol 50% or 70%. Just use them directly from the store. When you buy them from the store, just use them straight. Another question I get often is regarding the brand of LED lights that I would recommend, and the answer is I don't have any recommended brand to give you, because a lot of it, oftentimes it comes down to price point. But I could tell you white light has the fullest spectrum, so when in doubt, go with white. That way, it's a better or safer bet. But I do also have a couple LED lights that are a combo of red and purple or blue light LED for my orchids. And now what you're seeing is basically around May 2019, and this is a couple months after the repot, and you can see that there are new roots growing into the media, so it's a very good sign that this orchid is liking it. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!